to the SEC Unfiltered platform. I appreciate you guys listening to all our content on all our channels and platforms. I speak on behalf of everybody at the SEC Unfiltered channel and saying that we appreciate that. But I am your host, Dave Shumate, longtime college football SEC personnel director, staffer, and I am here to give you the top 5 impact players for the Mississippi State Bulldogs and Jeff Lebby heading in to year one in 2024. But before we get started, guys, just like everybody else, guys, we got to pay bills to keep the lights on. And we're going to start off with our buddies over at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com and use code SECU at sign-up to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 or more lineup. I played last year. I mentioned it before on this channel during this segment. I played that Sunday night game, that LSU Florida State game last year. Had like a kind of a parlay type pick 'em deal with Jane Daniels going for like 250, Malik Neighbors going for 100 yards, something like that. It's fun, man. It's fun, interactive games. It's different than just your regular betting sites. But go visit our guys at Prize Picks again. Use code SECU at sign up to get $50 instantly when you play $5 or more on your first lineup. But guys, let's get to it. Why you are here. Top 5 impact players for the Mississippi State Bulldogs and Jeff Lebby heading into year one. This one was a little, I'll be honest with you, Mississippi State is probably the roster, I don't want to say the term not know the most about or I know the least about. And I feel like everybody, every analyst, college football pundit would probably feel the same way. You don't know a whole lot about Mississippi State. And some of that, Jeff Lebby at Media Day, the questions weren't awesome. He's also not just going to go give you a lot. And I get it. It's his first year. Kalen DeBoer's doing the same thing, 82 miles up the road in Tuscaloosa. But you could probably make a case here or there. There probably could be another guy added into my list 1 through 5 here. I'll let you see it. But again, if you're used to this segment, I've gone chronological order here or alphabetical order, starting with Alabama. Just finished up Ole Miss. We posted that one today. We're here with Mississippi State now. But if you're not used to this segment, we go in reverse chronological order, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Finally get to one last. But let's lead it off. Number 5, starting in the secondary, guys. Corey Ellington, an under-the-radar player from 2023. Big frame safety. I think this pass defense wasn't as bad as people think. Maybe it's not they think, they just forget it. The defense as a whole wasn't that bad. I think they were in the top 40 in pass defense last year. Again, this defense was better than people remember. They need to be even better. They need, specifically here, Corey Ellington to man the secondary spot and be that guy who can go play in the box but also can cover as well. They need him to be an even better player in 2024. That's saying a lot because he was a solid player in 2023. But if this defense wants to give this 2024 Mississippi State team, Jeff Lebby's first team in Start Bowl, a chance to go to a bowl game, which I think would be a phenomenal season. I think he'd be up for SEC Coach of the Year if that were to happen to get to 6 wins. This defense is going to have to be improved. I didn't see a whole lot of that in the spring. Again, that was a long time ago. That was back in April. A lot of times, summer, through a whole fall camp can progress. But I want to see the defense, and that's where it starts. Coleman Hutzler's defensive unit, the new DC coming over from Alabama, they're going to have to at least be a winnable minus winnable type defense and give their offense a chance. I think the offense has got to carry the water, but the defense has got to be there in games as well. And I think it starts with Corey Ellington, that big safety body coming in at number 5. He's gonna have to have an impact, and I think he is. Staying on the defensive side of the ball. Let's just go up a level. Let's go to that second level. You lost some guys. Nathaniel Watson. You lost Jet Johnson. Your 2 best players at the second level and arguably 2 of your top players on defense last year. But coming in number 4, second level, John Lewis. I think he takes that next step. Some people may say, hey, the South Carolina transfer Stone Blanton. Why is he not in there? I just have a feeling John Lewis could be one of those leaders. He made the infamous comment at SEC Media Days in regards to Ole Miss saying it's their state. He was defending his university, saying it was Mississippi State. But I've heard this guy has had a great spring for people close to the program. And there's an opportunity, like I mentioned, for him to take advantage because there's 2 open spots there. He's going to man one, and I think Stone Blanton. But I think John Lewis is going to be the impact guy. I think John Lewis ends up being one of the leaders of the front 7 and a necessary impact player. Mississippi State doesn't have to be a shutdown defense, guys, but they need someone at both levels. And I think they have that guy with Demonte Russell on the front, in the trenches. I think John Lewis is that second guy. And like I mentioned, number 5, impact player. Corey Ellington's going to have to factor into that. But I think that second level linebacker, I don't think you're going to make up for the production of Nathaniel Watson and Jet Johnson, but I think John Lewis can supplement that. I think he's going to be key. He's going to have an impact. I think he will. Go to the other side of the ball. Let's go to the offensive side of the ball. Jeff Lebby special. Number 3, I'm going to love to hear some of these announcers try to pronounce these names a little bit. But I'm going to a wide receiver UTEP transfer, Kelly Akerari. That's one of the UTEP transfer. Can he make the jump and be a consistent weapon for Blake Shapen in this offense? This offense needs a weapon on the outside. I mean, it's going to have to be either a guy, Kevin Coleman, that's a Louisville transfer, or our guy, Kelly Akerari here. Started in all 12 games, one of 2 Conference USA wide receivers to tally 1,000 yards or more. Again, obviously led UTEP, the Miners, in receiving. The impressive stat here to me was the yards per catch, 21.5 yards on average per catch. It led Conference USA. That was 5th in the FBS. That's impressive. Mississippi State's going to need that. Again, I think when Zach Selman made this hire, the Mississippi State AD, going back to his roots here in Oklahoma with Jeff Levy, that relationship, I knew he knew, hey, Mississippi State, I need an exciting brand. Because let's be honest, Mississippi State fans, don't take this offensively. You're not going to go consistently compete for championships. It just is what it is. But you need an exciting brand, and this type of offense with this type of weapon like Akerari is going to be massive. It's going to be massive. Blake Shapen, I think this is going to be a perfect match here. If you go back and watch the spring game, I love what I saw out of him. He plays bigger than even he lists. But I think the big stat at step out, they could get something similar, probably not add to the number, but 21.5 yards per catch last year, 5th in FBS. That's something to keep an eye on. He can make plays vertically, and this offense needs it. They need it, and that's why Kelly Akerari comes in at number 3. Number 2, we're staying on offense. Spoiler, we're staying on offense across the board here. Don't check out on me yet, Mississippi State fans. But coming in at number 2, the Canadian himself, Albert Reese, appeared in all 12 games. I think he started the last 2 years for Mississippi State. I don't think he's missed a start, if I'm right. 133 snaps, did not allow a sack, and has only allowed 2 hurries all season. And this unit has a lot on its shoulders. He's really the only returner. It's kind of a mixture of some reserves from last year and some guys that have played college football, but they're new. Can this unit come in and gel together? Hearing them in the spring, hearing people close to the program, it sounds like it's a close-knit unit, closer than you would think, especially in today's era. But it's the only position where if you told me, just straight up, if you just said, Dave, Mississippi State's offensive line was not good in 2024. I mean, they were a 4-win team. It starts up front here. I think they're going to be solid, but this unit has to be able to, because it starts up front with them protecting Blake Shapen and him being able to get it out to the weapons they potentially have on the outside. It has to start up front, and it starts with the leader, the cog that is back, the only cog really that is back in this offensive unit. That's Albert Reese. It starts with him. He's got to have a good year. I think he will. Again, the offensive line is going to be key for this Mississippi State. Again, like you said, if you told me they weren't good, I'd have a hard time seeing this football team be good. And you could say that about a lot of teams, but specifically because I think the offense is going to have to carry the water, at least at the very beginning. But Albert Reese checking in at number 2 impact player for Mississippi State. Number 1, guys, we're going to Blake Shapen, quarterback, the most important position in the sport of college football and football in general, even at the pro level, highest level, and probably at all of sports, the most important. If you don't have a good one, you can't really compete and attain your ultimate goals. You just can't. But veteran college quarterback, I think, is a fantastic piece to Jeff Levy's first team in Starkville. I don't think he could ask for a better, not stopgap, that's not the right word, because he fits the system so well that you couldn't have asked for a better guy to be your QB1 in your first year. You probably wish you had another year with him, but we'll see how that we'll see who's kind of maybe the Michael Van Buren kid's the next guy. But as a freshman, he led Baylor to a Big 12 title. We all know that. In his career, I think at Baylor was like 34 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, something like that. He's played a lot of football. You could not have asked for a better first-year quarterback. I think that, probably for anybody in the league. You step it into Starkville, you could have been rolling with Michael Van Buren, who's going to be a good player, but you wouldn't want to be starting your first year with a true freshman. You got an experienced guy that fits your system well. Key with Blake Shapen, we know if you followed Baylor football, if you follow Blake Shapen's career, he has to stay healthy. And also, I think a benefit to Blake Shapen here. This is the first head coach he's had. He only had one other, Dave Aranda at Baylor, but this guy's a quarterback coach, and he's shown that he's developed quarterbacks. Hold your ears a little bit here, Mississippi State fans. Matt Corral at Ole Miss, he helped develop with Lane Kiffin. Dylan Gabriel at UCF and Oklahoma, who's now going to be the starting quarterback for Oregon, who's going to be a playoff contender, Big Ten contender this year. He has good relationships with his quarterbacks. I think that's really going to help Shapen. It's going to help Levy kind of both get their feet wet, get used to each other in that first year. I think that's going to be key. So I think no doubt about it, Blake Shapen is going to be a massive impact player, easily the number 1. That's probably one of the easier number 1s I've done out of all the teams in this segment so far, of the most top 5 impact players for every team in the SEC. But some guys maybe just missed the cut. I mean, I think you can make a case for linebacker Stone Blanton. I know we had John Lewis on there, South Carolina transfer Stone Blanton. He can be on there. I think that's fair. Wide receiver Kevin Coleman. I mentioned him when I was talking about our guy, Kelly Akawari. You could mention Kevin Coleman, the Louisville transfer as well. Defensive lineman, I mentioned him as well. Mississippi State on defense is going to have players step up at all three levels. I mentioned DeMonte Russell. On the interior, I think he's going to have to make an impact this year. But just reviewing 5 through 1 here, guys, on the top 5 impact players from Mississippi State heading into 2024. Coming in at 5, safety, Corey Ellington. Let's take another step, big fella. I think they're going to need it. Coleman Hutzler, first-year DC, has been at South Carolina, been at Ole Miss. Bama's outside linebackers coach the last few years. First-time DC, can he do it? He's going to need a guy like Corey Ellington to help him in the back end. The back end's so important now, guys, with how explosive college football is, how little spatial game it is. They're going to need him. Coming at 4, let's drop down a level. Second level, John Lewis. There's reps to be had. There's starter minutes to be had. John Lewis, Stone Blanton, I think they're both going to be good. I think John Lewis is going to be a leader of that front 7, though. He checks in at number 4 at linebacker. Number 3, I mentioned it earlier, wide receiver Kelly Akawari coming over from UTEP. Can he transition from Conference USA to the SEC? They need that vertical threat. Remember, guys, that yards per catch last year average, that was top 5 in the FBS. That's massive. Mississippi State's going to need something like that. Number 2, offensive tackle Albert Reese, the cog back. Really the only cog except for a few reserves in that Mississippi State offensive line. They're bringing in some transfers. He's going to have to help them gel. The Mississippi State offensive line is going to have to be good for them to even have a chance to get 6 wins and bowl eligibility. It starts with Albert Reese. And then he's got to protect his guy. Coming in at number 1, quarterback Baylor transfer Blake Shapen. Keep saying it. Couldn't ask for a better fit for Jeff Levy year 1 at that quarterback spot. I think he's going to have a big year. That relationship's going to be similar to Matt Corral, Dylan Gabriel. I like what Blake Shapen brings to the table. He's played a lot of football at Baylor. 34 touchdowns to 13 interceptions, something like that I said in his career at Baylor. Perfect marriage here. But, guys, I appreciate you joining us on this segment of the top 5 most impactful guys for the Mississippi State Bulldogs heading into 2024. I think it's a successful year. I've stated before for Jeff Levy in year 1. Win all 4 of your non-conference games. Got to get that Arizona State game. Got to win all 4 of those. And then get a win in the league play. Get to 5. Again, I'm never saying 5 and 7 should be acceptable anywhere. That's a losing record that should not be acceptable anywhere in the SEC. But I think it's a step in the right direction, especially if you're fun and put in an exciting offensive product on the field. So I think that's fair. And again, guys, I appreciate you joining us on this segment. I'm your host, Dave Shumate. You have a phenomenal evening.